Welcome back, all my loyal patriots and nationalists of Ireland and abroad. Today we have another propaganda video from, of course, RTE UpFront with Katie Hannon. This one is very relevant. It says, what is the future of Ireland's neutrality policy? Obviously the triple lock we'll be talking about today, the war in Ukraine, invading these different places, helping out with these different wars, whether or not Ireland wants to get involved in other wars. We just recently bought, I think it was 6 F-22 Raptor jets to help fight wars. We also have 300 intelligence officers being, anointed, or whatever you call it, recruited to the Irish Army, the Irish Defence Forces. Let's give my personal opinion before we get into the video, guys, and then I'll let the video play through and I'll break it down systematically. My personal opinion, I don't think we should get involved in any war ever. We are a neutral country. That's what's so beautiful about Ireland. But, the vast majority of people know there's no such thing as neutrality in this world. As the communist man himself said, the communist revolutionary said, Leon Trotsky, he said, you may not be interested in war, but war is interested in you. And for me, I agree. Imagine that. County Gaines, the conservative man agreeing with a left-wing man, revolutionary. And I'll explain why. Unless there is a goddammit, D-Day invasion by the Russians on Dogs Bay or in flippin' Sandy Mount, or one of these beaches from the enemy, I am not going to be going overseas to defend any other place apart from my home country. Just putting that out there. I'm pretty sure most Irish people agree with that. Obviously there's nuances to it. It's a bit of a long-winded argument to go into, but yeah, the Irish government want to bring all of us young people into war. But as Eminem says, let's quote another person. Eminem said, I'm 29, I'm 28, I'm 29, you're 18. They're going to take you before they take me. I'm not going to war because I'm getting older. All right. Now, obviously, up to the age of 65, I think the Ukrainians are recruiting people. But still, they'll take all the younger people before they go into the 30s and 40s range. So yeah, let's just pray to God Trump sorts out the wars before it manifests into World War III. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and let's hear what Katie Hannon has to say. This propaganda-led, bought and paid for audience. Let's go.
Theo, you have a question for us.
Yeah, just to the panel. Do you think we should remain neutral, or should we join NATO or a common European defence treaty? And do you think it should be put to the people in a referendum to finally put the issue to rest?
Okay. I'm going to put that one to you first, John O'Brien.
Within this room and throughout Ireland, there are very sincerely held views about neutrality, and I absolutely respect those. I'm arguing for change because I think, firstly, the world has changed enormously. Geopolitics has changed very significantly over the last 15 years. Ireland hasn't. Our policy hasn't changed at all. In response to the invasion of Ukraine, we saw Finland and Sweden, long-time neutral countries, change their policies literally overnight to embrace NATO membership. Finland has joined, Sweden probably will in the near future. Denmark, which had an opt-out from European security arrangements, decided to opt in. So we look very much like an outlier in European terms. So that's my first point, that we can't simply stand still. The second, however, is just...
Hey, does this lazy fatty, let's just call him a fatty because people got offended the last time. Does this overweight guy, let's just say, does he want to go fight in a war? Go and fight in a war, brother. The war is right there. You can sign up online. Go fight if you want to go fight. You don't even have to be you don't have to be a Ukrainian citizen or anything. You can just go sign up on the internet. So John O'Brien, this bozo clown. Now I do agree we need to strengthen the military. We need to have the best defense forces in the whole world if possible. Spend loads on the military because people will still attack you even if you're neutral, even if your country is whatever. But unless we're getting directly bombed or there's a D-Day invasion, no fighting. Go fight yourself. Go ahead.
Just as important that Ireland's position in the world has changed fundamentally over the last 30 years. We have a stake in the European Union, we have a stake in the international community like never before. And my argument about Europe, whether it takes the form of contributing more to European security or whether it's membership of NATO, is that we have to step up and we have to contribute more. After all, Ireland has been one of the biggest winners from the European single market. Are we really saying that we won't be prepared to defend the market that delivers the vast majority of our prosperity, jobs and investment?
Yeah, that guy is the biggest clown I've ever heard in my entire life. He can't cover his flipping hair. He can't cover his head with hair. How is he supposed to cover fire his fellow soldiers? This guy wouldn't pass basic training. Has he ever lifted a weight in his life? Have you ever ran more than, 500? Have you ever ran more than 20 yards to your refrigerator? Dude, clown show. That guy's an absolute clown.
Would anybody want their son or daughter go off to war for the market?
It's a terrible, terrible thing to ponder. I absolutely agree. And I'm not saying that this is going to happen overnight, but I'm saying that at the very least, we need to have an honest discussion about this.
But do you accept, John O'Brien?
No, we don't. What is he talking about? We ain't joining any wars. Go away, you fool. And you go fight, bro. If these guys are they're called chicken shits, right? What is Jesse Ventura? Jesse Ventura calls them, I believe he calls them chicken, basically like chicken shits, like a warmongering kind of guy that says, a fat old man wants young men to go die for him. I'm not dying for you. Hell no. What the hell are you talking about? You go fight first. I'll follow you over.
And that any time the Irish people have been asked about this, and even the most recent opinion polls, the possibility or idea of joining NATO is deeply unpopular.
I think the opinion polls are actually very nuanced. If you look at the last opinion poll, which came out in the summer, it actually showed that 35% of people were in favour of joining NATO. A majority is absolutely against it. I can absolutely accept that. Now, I'm arguing that...
We don't care if you accept it or not. We're talking about statistics. He said I can accept it. It doesn't matter if you accept it or not. These are facts and statistics on a page. And please, guys, if you want to support me, hit that join link underneath the video, because you need people like me to fight back against people like this, because I'm not going to be given a platform on RT. But hopefully this video has how many views? 17,000. Okay. Well, hopefully I get 5,000 views, 2,000 views, something that I can actually, voice the opinion of the people, because what I say is the opinion of the people. This guy is an outlier. He's not part of he's part of the mainstream. They're trying to push a narrative. But you need people like me, you need people like No Risk, No Reward, you need people like The Unbroken Man, you need people like all these different YouTube channels to push back against the regular narrative. Because this is just insane. I mean, there's nobody on the panel that's conservative or more right. They're all left-wing people. It's ridiculous.
If we put NATO membership aside, we should at the very least be looking at contributing more to European Union security.
Wasn't that the very thing that nearly scuppered our very involvement in Europe in terms of the Lisbon Treaty and the Nice Treaty?
It was, but as a result of that, we gained opt-outs from the security dimension, the foreign policy dimension of the EU. We have an absolute veto over European foreign policy. That is not the same as at the United Nations, where in the Security Council, our triple lock is subject to a Russian and Chinese, and I might say to an American veto, that if they veto something, then that means that we can't send more than 12 troops abroad to a military mission.
Okay, Claire Daly, can I go back to Theo's question there? Should we remain neutral or should we join a common defence?
Well, I think everybody touched off the issue in a different way, that successive Irish governments have got us to a situation where in reality we have not been neutral. That's the truth of it. Allowing troops transit through Shannon is a flagrant breach of neutrality, and the Irish courts have judged on that and deemed it to be so.
Well, that's more of a business deal. I always thought that, when you see, American Air Force coming into land in Shannon, yeah, okay, you can say that it's not great for the country's look. It doesn't look good. But it's not like we're supplying military weapons to the US Air Force in Shannon. That's not how it is. The American Marines and shit, Air Force, they come in, they land, they refuel, they have a few flipping chicken rolls, from the local spa or whatever that's up in Shannon there. Okay, from the deli, the delicatessens. And then they make their way over to Afghanistan. We're not like, here lads, here are the bullets, here are the guns, let's train up your troops. We're not like actually giving them military aid. We're just giving them petrol. Yeah, you could argue if someone's going to murder somebody, whether you fill up their this is a good analogy. If someone's going to murder somebody and you fill up their car with petrol, is that you an accomplice to a murder? I would argue no, because we don't really know what they're doing. Like we don't know exactly what they're doing. Like the U.S. military, we have a good idea that they're going to fight a war, but that could mean death on both sides. It's not really. It's kind of a bit of a nuance. That's a little bit of a nuanced. Yeah, we're just filling up their planes with petrol. I mean, yeah, it's not amazing for the look and shit. You don't want them to go over and, someone will say, oh, we're not supplying them bombs. We're not supplying them any military arms. We don't make anything here. So
we've had this kind of cute Irish attitude to an Irish problem.
But hasn't it served us well?
As we did. I was going to say with, say, for example, abortion and so on, but that didn't mean we didn't change it. So I don't want the status quo to remain. I want us to have proper active neutrality. Now, NATO and...
But funny how the woman is the most masculine person here, like... Yeah, so woman doesn't want us to go to war with all the other men, like, yeah, let's go to war, like, but we're not going to war. You guys have to go to war for us. Like, what a bunch of bitches.
The European Union are one at the moment. I think it is a bit of a sideshow to talk about NATO, because you listen to any of the debates in Europe.
So you're saying NATO and European...
To a great extent now, most of Europe's defence energy is gone through the auspices of NATO. Read any of the speeches from Joseph Borrell, we are NATO. Do I align with myself? Of course I do. And that integration, like never before. I'm at the meetings morning, noon and night with NATO personnel in and out all the time. Europe has militarised in a way that we have not seen, and people in the audience...
Would you not say with good reason, given that they have just witnessed...
Well, this is it. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? And the idea is put forward largely by the lobbyists in the military-industrial complex that militarism makes us safe. It does not. The militaristic path that Europe was on started long before the Russian invasion. What happened was...
Okay, well, I don't agree with that, guys. I think we should have loads of defences just in case someone attacks. But that's more of a defence mechanism. Like, we're not going to actively attack people, you know what I mean? But, if they're going to attack us, then yeah, we should have a proper built-up military, you know what I mean?
Once Russia illegally invaded Ukraine, people, including the government of Ireland, thought they could barrel down the road with that militarism. And now, huge amounts of European taxpayers' money is being spent on militarism instead of being spent on the issues that actually would make us safe.
But do you think we should be at all worried about the fact that we have no capability as of today to defend ourselves, to defend our neutrality?
Small countries cannot defend themselves. That is a simple fact of the matter. That was the days, going back to the days of Devil. In great power conflicts, small countries, all we can do is argue for peace and...
False. We absolutely can. We can do the same thing that Switzerland does. Proper conscription, alright, just for a year. Okay, everyone has to serve in the military for a year. Men and women, obviously the men, with the guns and shit. The women, they can do the analytics and the computer work. For the most part, of course, there's going to be crossovers there. But then we give every single person an AR-15, or what do we use? The AUG. I think the Irish Army used the AUG, which, is a fine weapon. I believe it's an Austrian weapon. So if we give every single citizen an AR-15, and we have to sign a little piece of paper that says, okay, you have to go to war at 18. Like in America, every 18-year-old man has to sign up for selective service, no matter who you are. Okay, selective service, just to say if they get into a war that you're eligible for a draft. We should have to do all that shit. Maybe not the draft part, but definitely give everyone AR-15s, everyone, weapons. How many adults are in Ireland? Probably 2-3 million. That means we have 2-3 million soldiers right off the bat. Maybe 1.5 million men right off the bat. Everyone with the AR-15 in their house. And I bet crime would go way down. Because if you can't rob somebody's, little corner shop. You can't rob the deli. If the guy has a flippin' AR-15 behind the counter, I think if we armed everyone, that would deter a lot of people. Because guerrilla warfare is a lot harder. Look at Afghanistan. The Americans, they fought a 20-year war, and although they won every battle, they couldn't win the war. Because there's just too much bullshit going. There's just too much, people, too many people with weapons, too much overwhelming, shit. So there is a little bit of a give and take there.
and to champion the upholding of international law. That's our constitution. That's what we can contribute. And John says, oh, we're freeloaders in the year. That's an incredibly powerful message to give in the European Union. We are not freeloaders. To positively and learn from our history, to engage in a different way, to fight for peace. You've seen the outcome of that in recent days, where Ireland has been a bit more calmer and more productive in relation to the tragedy unfolding in Gaza than any other member state because of our history. We are a country that was occupied for years. We have that colonial affinity with the rest of the world, because we're not just dealing with Europe, we're dealing with the rest of the world here as well. We've an enormous part to play in that, and people admire us for that.
Conor Gallagher, you have spent much time pondering on this.
Conor Gallagher. Someone was saying yesterday I said Gallagher wrong. Okay, but people close to me, their names are Gallagher, but they're Canadian, so Gallagher. Okay, Gallagher.
In writing your book, which is just released this year, what is the...
This guy sucks. I just roasted this guy recently. Man, I'm just roasting all these people. Oh shit, I'm gonna just go through each and every one of them, just roasting all of them, guys, because like I said, they need to be a pushback, but no, everyone's too afraid to push back on YouTube for some reason. I don't know why. They can't give their voice. They can't give their articulated opinion of this.
Answer the question that the audience asked actually in the first place is, are we neutral?
I bet this guy is going to call for war. This little pudgy guy. It's all these little pudgy guys, little fat guys that have never seen a day's violence. They've never done judo, jiu-jitsu. They've never done martial arts. They've never shot guns. They've never done any fighting. But they're always these guys that love to go for war. You know, a Rambo-esque character like myself, I love Rambo and all these action movies. I would say let's keep away from the war because we know how violent and how bad it is. You know? Horrendous, guys.
Well, in terms of international law, neutrality only applies during a war. So, you know, it doesn't really arise. Now, obviously, the commonly accepted view of neutrality goes well beyond that. But, you know, as Claire has pointed out, we don't meet many of the obligations for neutrality. You know, if you look at Switzerland as the archetype of a neutral country, they would never dream of allowing US troops transit through their country.
County Gaines called it. County Gaines called it. I called it, guys. Did I not tell you that this guy would be pro-war? They're all pro-war. All these feminine men that have never fought, have never gotten a street fight, they've never done any crazy violent shit. They all love violence. They all love putting you in war. They love putting your sons and daughters in a war.
They enforce their neutrality by funding their defence forces to a massive extent. They even have conscription there, and they they have forbidden.
And he has a stutter. Never trust a man with a stutter or a lisp.
And they they have forbidden the resale of their weapons, which they produce in great amounts, to Ukraine. Because Ukraine is a country currently at war. We don't do any of these, and in fact we are training Ukrainian troops in, as the gentleman there said, basic rifle training.
Okay, answer me then again what Claire Daly was saying there in relation to NATO and the EU defence mechanism now becoming as one. Is that a fair statement?
I wouldn't. I'd say that's a bit of an exaggeration, because during the Trump administration there was a push towards that kind of EU common defence treaty when Joe Biden came in and kind of reinvigorated NATO, and then the invasion of Ukraine, that caused particularly countries in Eastern Europe to realise that NATO is the only game in town in terms of it's their best bet for defence. What's happening in Europe is greater integration among militaries to achieve common goals, such as the PESCO projects. We've signed up for a lot more PESCO projects now, probably more on the way.
Are we being sucked ever closer, doing what President Michael D. Higgins warned was playing with fire, you know, dangerous drift towards NATO?
NATO partnership for peace programs. We're going out on training exercises.
This young kid that asked the question is like, oh shit, I put my foot in it now. Because he looks like, what, 18, 19? He looks pretty young. You know what I mean? Under 25 anyways. He's like, oh shit. These assholes up here on the stage, they're gonna convince the government to send me to a war. When in reality, all we want is peace. Okay? I love you all. I'm going to leave it right there. If you guys want to support me and help me push back against the mainstream like I'm trying to do every single day, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Check out my membership as well. I have a cool membership package that you guys can be part of as well, so go check that out. Literally the most insanity I've ever heard in my life. The most insane sort of ideas I've ever heard in my life coming from this show. They want to send us all to war and die. Well, ain't that beautiful, guys? You know, I would make it a thing that actually, here's what I would do. I'll do one better. If you want to become an Irish citizen in this country, you have to go and fight for 2 years in a war. How about that? They'll never do that, though. Put out the foreigners that want to become Irish citizens to go and fight and die, in a war before the Irish citizen. All people that have been living in this country for more than 3 weeks. If you're working here, if you're living here, whatever, and you want to become an Irish citizen eventually, or if you just live in this country and you don't have an Irish passport or citizenship, then you have to go fight and die in a war. How about that? Before the Irish citizens. You guys get that selective service before we have to go. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next one, guys. Stay free, man.